Hey everyone, how you doing? I don't know if everyone can hear me. Do a little sound check. Sound check. Little sound check. Just give me a minute. Sound check. Can anyone hear me out there? How you doing? Just doing a little smudging here. Put some good smokes. Hope everyone's doing well. All you future downloaders and anyone who's watching, can you hear me? Sound check. Can someone hear me out there? Using my old mic from back in the day from Taino Radio. Can anyone hear me? All right, you hear me? Hey, D, what's up? The official 44 mag. What's up? Yo, you're the number one crown champ right there. I see it. All right, man. That's cool. So today I'm going to give a little special lecture on the Taino worldview, traditional Taino worldview. Peace, bro. Very good. And I'm going to ask some questions, and you guys can write in on the chat. But before we do that, I have to find something. Just give me 1 second. Okay, this lecture is not going to be super long. It's going to be like an introduction, part 1. And my resource is from The Cave of the Jaguar by Dr. Antonio Arroyo Stevens. I have utmost respect for Dr. Arroyo Stevens. He's a Boricua. Used to be a Roman Catholic priest. Then he became a super scholar. And back in the 80s, wrote a book called The Cave of the Jaguar. He uses expertise as a sociologist and comparing religions, comparing mythologies. So he took the creation stories of the Taino and he matched it with all the creation stories that's out there. You know, we learn in junior high school about the Greeks, you know, Zeus and Hercules and all that. So then he also took the stories, Taino stories, and he matched it up with the Mexica traditional stories and the South American stories that you can find in Brazil, and so on. So basically, he took the Taino stories that was written by Ramon Pane, allegedly, and his theory was that it wasn't Ramon Pane. That's where that theory comes from Arroyo Stevens. I had a good sit down with him many years ago, around 2006, and we had a very good time discussing his theory that it wasn't Ramon Pane because he did not know the Taino language. He knew a local dialect of Macorish in Quisqueya, but he did not know the general Taino language. And who was that? So who wrote these stories down? If you're a listener of Taino Radio and TainoFunHouse, I mentioned this many times because not too many people know this or understand this theory or agree with the theory. But the author of The Cave of the Jaguar, Dr. Arroyo Stevens, he believes that it was Juan Mateo. He was the interpreter for Ramon Pane. He was also the first Catholic, Taino Catholic. And there is speculation that maybe he converted to Catholicism, not because he wanted to, but it was a way to negotiate with the Spanish invaders, to make peace with them. But he was so good that he was the first Taino to learn to learn Spanish. He was also the first to read it and write it. So he's actually, Juan Mateo was the first Taino to actually learn. He was the first sociologist, the first linguistic in the Americas. Hold on a second. I'm just looking through my notes. But that's going to be another time. Here's a quiz. Does anyone know his Taino name? There's a little quiz there. Wasn't Ramon Pane? No way. The Spanish call him Juan Mateo. And he was actually killed by some chiefs. Allegedly, he was killed by some local chiefs that did not agree with him sharing these ancient stories with the Spaniards. Because, remember, Christopher Columbus wanted to divide the people for one reason only, for the gold. So for him, psychologically, like any good general, any good war general, you're going to find out how do these new people think? What do they believe in? What's their concept of God? What are their belief systems? So this was Ramon Pane's job. But because he didn't speak Taino, how in the world are you writing all this stuff down? I'm a Taino descent from my dad's side. All right, well, there you go. God bless you. O Morales K2W. Welcome aboard to the Taino Funhouse. Welcome. I'm just looking at my notes last minute. Thank you for being here. Jason Soto, Sanakori, what's up? Jason Soto, 2778. Bokwatukan, blessings to you. I want to create this sacred space every Friday from now on the evenings at 9:30, sometimes maybe 10 o'clock. I'm going to share some stuff with you guys. But check this out. Let's start, okay? First of all, I'd like to welcome everyone from the future. Thank you. If you like this, please like it and subscribe if you can. As we all know, for especially people that live in the Northeast, we're in the winter time. It's very cold here in the East. I haven't experienced a winter like this in a while. Even though we don't have too much snow, there's definitely a lot of cold winds, and my asthma has been kicking in. I don't know about you guys. Maybe you can hear me wheezing a little bit, but it's pretty rough out there. So, guess what? Our ancestors, the Taino, they also had a concept of the winter. Okay, 4 cyclical seasons, and right now we're in the winter time. Okay, now traditionally, our ancestors, their worldview, um, the Gregorian calendar around December, and our ancestral worldview around the winter season, when the sun is not as hot. There was some fear in our ancestors, I'm talking about our traditional ancestors, that the sun would not return. There was something wrong with the sun. And as we all know, without the sun, we can't grow our vegetables, we can't grow our roots like the yucca. So there was a lot of worry about the sun not returning or the sun dying. So guess what? The winter time was a time that a special ceremony would begin. Does anyone know what that ceremony? I know you guys heard of it. You know what that ceremony is called, in which our traditional Taino people would gather to perform this ceremony. You can put it on the chat right there. And remember, the sun during the winter in the Caribbean. I'm talking about the Caribbean. Over here is freezing, but in the Caribbean it was cooler. It wasn't as hot. And especially if you live in the mountains, it can go down to the 60s. So remember that during this time period, the sun is at its weakest point. Okay, D, you wrote Heleito. Oh, you're very close. You're very close. Now remember, I'm getting these insights from the Cave of the Jaguar. He's done some tremendous research into the Spanish accounts. People like Bartolomé de las Casas really filled in the gaps. Before he died, I believe he died in his 80s. He lived many years, most of his adult life and senior life with our ancestors. So he recorded a lot of things. So Mario Stevens gets a lot of these insights from de las Casas and a lot of other Spanish authors. Okay, I'll say it right now. Oh yeah, I'll give you a clue. Here, how about this? You see that circle behind me right there? See that circle? The ceremony is centered around a circle. Can anyone say what that circle is? It could be in Spanish or English. It was a ceremony that was very sacred. It's a public ceremony. It also represented movement. So it wasn't a ceremony where you're sitting down and meditating. but it's a movement kind of ceremony. You just didn't sit still unless you were a spectator. All right, there's another clue. There were spectators in this ceremony. There was active agents, and there were people who were also spectators. Anyone? I'll give you another clue. If you looked at the Taino Funhouse videos of last 2 summers ago, we performed this ceremony publicly at Inwood Hill Park. What kind of ceremony was that? Anyone know? All right, here's the last clue. Here's the last clue. Ready? What is this ceremony in which you use a ball or pelota? Anyone know? Okay, you're very close. The bate. The bate was the ceremonial grounds in which the batu game was performed. The batu. So our ancestors, they used the ball, and it represents the sun. Okay, the sun. And it's like we steal the sun. We take the sun from the sky and we bring it to the bate, and we play a ball game. And the ball game was played two teams with the behike as a referee. That's why sometimes I wear my referee shirt, because the behike was the referee. The ball, the first team that drops the ball loses, and you can't use your hands. You can use your head, you can use your shoulders, you can use your hips, your legs, your knees, but you cannot use your hands. Okay, so here it is. The movement, according to the Spanish, the movement of the ball represented the movement of the sun. So you have a sunrise. Oh man, one of my parakeet feathers is stuck to the ball. Guys, you playing bate before? I mean batu. So we got sunrise, we got the high sun and the noon, and all the way to the sunset. So in the batu game, when you see the players playing the ball game, the ball is going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Is mimicking the movement of the sun. Okay, and that's very important to understand. So this is a symbolic struggle to keep the light from being captured by who? Does anyone know what was the fear in our ancestral worldview? What's going to happen to the sun? Who's going to take the sun away from our human beings? Does anyone know? So there was a fear that the sun will be captured totally by who? It enters our world and it exits our world. But there was a fear that the sun will disappear or be captured by who? Anyone know? So we got the sunset, I mean the sunrise, we got the moon, the noon, the highest point. That's where farmers stop working those fields because they will pass out of the heat. God, yeah, there you go. And then, boom, the underworld. If the sun goes to the underworld where the dead live, then we will die. So this whole struggle, this whole game, see, you don't see it right now, the ball, but I'm doing a circle. It's a circle movement. You don't see it, but it's a circle movement. So the sun goes to the underworld, according to our ancestors. So we want the sun to come back. We don't want it to stay in the underworld. We want it to come back. So guess what will happen? During the winter nights, the community, the Yukayekes, will come together and they'll play this beautiful game called the Batu game, right? Now, one side of the team represents the living, okay, the people who are alive, those spirits, the waste spirits. And then on the other side will be the dead. And the people that represented the dead will wear masks. That's right. I don't know if anyone has seen my old videos with Sanakori number 2, and he's kind of likes to eat and stuff. Cook. Then you have my boy Yaed. See, they're representing an old tradition. They're representing the dead here in this world. So whenever Taino wears a mask, whenever Behike wears a mask in ceremonies, you're communicating with the dead in the real world. Okay? So you have one team with the masks, and you got the other team, humans, and they play, and they play, and they play as hard as they can. There's no fixing going on. They play as hard as they can. And the living, if the living win, that means we're going to have some great crops. There's going to be plenty of yuca, batata. There's going to be ahise. There's going to be tons of stuff. Our bellies are going to be full for the springtime. But guess what? If the team that represents the dead, if they win, we got some problems coming up. And our ancestors experienced famine many times due to the harsh hurricane season and droughts. So once again, it was all related to the Batu game. Okay, so what's the prize? The spring will arrive with much fruits, thanks to the living team. But if they lose, there's going to be some poor harvests. It's going to be a struggle. So I just want to give you a little bit of knowledge that Maharoyo Stevens discovered in the writings of the Spanish who were eyewitnesses, like Bartolome de las Casas and so on, when they witnessed our ancestors playing this game. Of course, the Spanish saw this as superstition. They saw it as idol worship, whatever. But I'd be interested to know why you think our ancestors believed in this. Why did they believe that this ball game will predict a good spring, a good harvest, or not so productive? Oh, I also want to mention that as a Behike, if the living team lost, now the Behike had to work overtime. And the Spanish eyewitnesses, they saw that the Behike were fast, They will perform the Cojoba ceremony more often, speaking to the spirit, to the semis, and saying, please, we want to feed our people. We want to feed the children. We want to feed the elders. So there is that honoring and respect. And also there's that fear as well. These are emotions. So imagine as an indigenous person living on the islands, there's no Walmart. There's no bodegas, colmados, and none of that. If those crops ain't going to produce, you got some hungry children on your hands. So we're in January. This is the time that we have to play the Batu game. This is the time. Okay? So there's the representative of the circle. So in the worldview of our ancestors, it will be super beautiful if we can do this on our own here in 2026. So in the wintertime, what do? We are focusing on how can I change my life for the better before the spring comes. Now, most indigenous peoples in the north and the south, east, west, that experience the winter time, it's a time of introspection. It's a time to sit with your family, sit with your friends, sit with your loved ones, your partner, and you start talking about dreams and goals and failures, mistakes. This is where forgiveness comes in. This is where healing ceremonies come in. So we can prepare for the spring. We can prepare for the great harvest. So if the winning team, the living people, if they can somehow win the game, they have a right to dig out the yucca. That's right, they can dig out the yucca so we can feed the people. Yeah, I just recently found out the other day, I suffer from diabetes type 2. So I've been changing my diet over and over. I've been changing different styles. And one thing that I learned at the yucca is it's insulin resistant. So it's slow releasing in the body. So you don't produce high sugar counts. So that's kind of cool, that we have medicine for diabetics like yucca. It's different from potatoes. That will spike your sugar up. Well, yucca will definitely help you. So if your doctor said only eat that Italian bread, you can eat some cassava bread. It's gonna help you out. So this is the time that we start working our diets. We start working our resolutions of how we're gonna do for the next before the spring comes. So hold on a second. So this Batu ball, right? I like to leave with you with this. This is the life force. Okay. And our objective is to keep this ball alive, keep it in the air, keep it movement, so we prevent the dark times of our life. We could prevent the depression that comes into us when we screw up or when things are really hard on us. The economy, the politics, it could be our relationships, whatever, maybe we lost our job. It's difficult times. So once we keep this ball moving, there's hope. So even if you don't have the opportunity to play the Batu game wherever you live, it's important that you take a ball and symbolically, you hold on to it. Maybe you meditate, or maybe you just throw up in the air. You throw it up in the air, play some catch. Maybe play catch with your children, with your partner. But symbolically, keep that ball moving. Make it a ceremony. Make it a ceremony. Because our ancestors knew this very well. Is that to be human is to be active. To be human is to be constantly learning. And also to be human is to be competitive. We don't give up easily. So my suggestion for you to this in winter season right now is to get a ball. It could be a small ball, maybe a basketball, or maybe you go to the batting range. Do something with a ball. It's not an accident that in the Caribbean, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Biscaya, there's these professional baseball teams. The winter season. The winter season. Well, a lot of people play ball in the Caribbean. La pelota. Every team, every town has a team, and they support the team. Los indios, they see that, all right. So the tradition lives on, man. It lives on. But we as Taino people, we can name it. It's the Batu. Okay, what does D say? Wow, you just reminded me when I was a kid, me and my siblings would do this, even me and my son. Wow, there you go, man. There you go. The temptation is not to be active in the winter, but there's no excuse. Now we have gyms and stuff. Keep the life force. Keep the life force moving. It's the Atabe life force, you know? And the sun, about the sun, we're dead. And our ancestors knew it. They knew that the sun, you know, um, if you refuse to accept the sun in your life, you're probably going to get cancer. You're probably going to get diabetes, especially Caribbean folk, because vitamin D that comes from the sun helps you with diseases. So you will die if you avoid the sun. So don't avoid it. Okay. So if anyone's in the New York City area, hook me up. Wait, hook me up? No. Reach out to me and let's see if we can play a ball game, okay? And if it's super cold, maybe we can find an indoor space. But it's very important that you become active. Don't go to sleep. Play that game. Play that game. So hold on a second. Hold on. I'll be back. Give me a second. I got another situation here. Hold on. So our ancestors. Hold on a second. Our ancestors, the yuca. This was our daily bread. This was our daily food. It was the yuca. Because we knew we had to feed our bellies. We knew we had to feed the children, the elders. So it's kind of cool that our ancestors were into this game. They kept it moving. They just didn't sit in fear. They actually got up and did something. It's kind of cool, man. So for the next couple of Fridays, I'm definitely going to speak about cosmology, which is our ancestral worldview. And next Friday, I'm going to talk about I devised this cosmogram that kind of maps out a Taino year. So it's not a straight line. It's a circle. It's circular. It's cyclical. So remember, don't be afraid of the circle. Be afraid of a line, a lineal line. Because once that line stops, that's it. It's over. It's about the circle. That's the worldview, the circle, okay? So hold on a second. Let me just give you one final understanding. According to the Cave of the Hagua, right? Right now we're at the northern direction. It's 4 directions representing Deminan and his 3 brothers. So right now we're in the north direction, which represents the quatrain represents the nighttime. And the semi for the nighttime is Makdidarie Guayaba, the Lord of the Dead. And this is the season is the winter solstice. Okay. And then what's the biological stage right now in the Taino worldview? Ancestry, the resting of the tubers. The tubers representing the yucca is the time that they rest. Okay. So while they rest, we play the ball game. We keep the life force strong. Okay. So the north represents the ancestors, the nighttime, Makitaurie, Guayaba. Hold on a second. Let me just look at my notes. Hold on a second. So, so the horizontal and the vertical in the circle. Right now, we're in the horizontal. Okay, and the horizontal represents life and death. So right now, we're at the death section of our lives as Taino, which is Guave and also the forest. Okay. And all of this represents the Bate games and the dynamic of the sun, sunrise, noon, sunset, and now it's going into the underground. We don't want it to get stuck in there. We want it back. So we play the game. All right. Guys, I'll be back soon. I'm gonna do another video. I'm writing all this out for you guys so you have it in your notes. But this Friday, I mean this Sunday, which is let me see, what date is Sunday? 9. Okay, January 11th. Oh, that's a bunch of ones right there. 111, which equals 3. So we're gonna have a Guanara ceremony. So if you live in New York City, come on out. We got some people that participated in Guanara. It's a place far apart from society, from communities in which we do healing work. Okay, so we're doing Guanara this Sunday. Anyone who's traveling, like Rachel and Arasibued and so on, be safe out there. Hopefully, it won't be too cold Sunday. But guess what? I'm gonna bring this ball, and then we're gonna enjoy. After the ball game, we're gonna enjoy a nice Guanara ceremony. So, anyone's interested, 9th Avenue, 209th Street, New York City. You can write me at sanakori7@gmail.com. That's sanakori7 gmail.com. I'll give you directions where to meet up, and come on out. We're gonna try to keep that sun from coming back in the spring. Okay. All right, man. God bless you all. Bok Watukan, and hang in there, everyone. It's cold. It's cold. If you're from the Caribbean, you're probably liking the cold breeze. But our ancestors didn't play around. They understood how important the sun was, the life force. So, oh yeah, before I forget, hold on. Man, I'm just ignoring my notes here. The ball players, okay? The players are the mediators of the living or the dead. Now, if you're in a living team, you are preventing a permanent winter. Okay? Remember, this is the ancient peoples. And with climate crash going on right now, we have to be worried because the seasons are messing up. The ball, the rubber ball, is the life force. Keep it in play during the dark months. The bate court, that's the realm of between life and death. And the village represents order and living. So thank you for downloading this show, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for tuning in live. Catch you guys soon.